Alright, yeah, welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and back to some Historic. It's been a little bit of a while, but we're back on the train, the Historic train, and we're going to be checking out some Historic with the Alchemy cards and see, well, I would say see how it's changed a little bit, but that's not really what we're going to be doing, because we're going to be in the casual queue where basically formats don't exist. It's basically just a Wild West of whatever people fancy playing at the time. And I fancy playing some Captain CoCo. It is a Bant Blink deck built around the brand new digital-only card, Inquisitor Captain, 4-mana 3/3 with Vigilance. When it enters the battlefield, if there are 20 or more creature cards with mana value 3 or less from among those cards, from among cards in your graveyard, hand, and library, then you seek 2 creature cards with mana value 3 or less, put one of them onto the battlefield, and then shuffle the other into your library. So basically, it's Collected Company on a creature, and it's only going to hit creatures as well. So unlike Collected Company, there's essentially no whiff potential on this one, just as long as you keep track of the amount of creatures that are basically on the battlefield and left in your graveyard and hand and library. It's a bit of a weird one. I did actually have a deck that was built around Inquisitor Captain, playing my entire deck. I had every single clone effect, like Glasspool Mimic, that Inquisitor Captain could hit in my deck, and then so few other options that the whiff potential was extremely low. And eventually Captain stopped working, so there's no mana burn in Inquisitor Captain, unfortunately. It's just going to have to be a good old fair Collected Company flicker target, basically, which, you know, is totally fine by me. I am definitely a fan of flicker decks. It's maybe my top archetype to play around with, because there's a lot of back and forth. There's a lot of spending your turn watching triggers go off. It's very lovely. So Inquisitor Captain's going to be our build around, and obviously, if we're seeking out creature cards with mana value 3 or less, then that's essentially what our entire deck should comprise of, so that we have plenty of targets. Those are all of our targets. We also have Collected Company, as all of you probably know. Look at the top 6 cards, put 2 creature cards with mana value 3 or less from among them. If you're going to play Inquisitor Captain, you probably might as well anyway play Collected Company. It's still pretty good, does the same job. It doesn't hit Inquisitor Captain, so it's only this pile here, and it doesn't hit Ephemerate, of course, so yeah, there is that. But yeah, we have Mimics in our deck, and Charming Princes as well. So if Inquisitor Captain seeks out 2 cards, and one of those cards is a Glasspool Mimic or a Charming Prince, we effectively get to go again, but with an extra 3/3 Vigilance in place, so it's very cool. You'll see that a few times today. But it's honestly going to hit us quite a lot of stuff, but maybe a little bit random. We got Gilded Goose, Llanowar Elves, Florahedron, and Innkeeper to make sure that we have the mana to play all of our spells and get towards our 4-drops really quickly, which is super useful for us, of course. Innkeeper does kind of have a flicker potential as well. It's going to make us a treasure, so even if it dies, we still get that treasure token to play our 4-drops, our captains and companies. But it also has an ETB effect of creatures entering, gaining us 1 life, which is very nice. Gilded Goose has an ETB of creating food tokens, which can be very nice, but it's only really nice at cracking them or enabling other Gilded Geese, so it is a thing. But either way, lots of stuff that can happen over in this pile. We've got one of my favorite cards, which I was begging to get added to the game for so long, and when it finally got added, I played it, and it was terrible. But this deck is pretty good. Soul Herder, 3 mana 1/1. Whenever a creature is exiled from the battlefield, you put a 1/1 counter on Soul Herder. So, by exiled, it does mean Yorion exiles, so for each creature exiled here, you're going to get a counter. Apparition exile, so you get a counter, that kind of thing. And then also, at the beginning of your end step, you may exile another creature you control, then return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. So that's also going to trigger Soul Herder, who will grow a lot bigger and enable your ETBs the same way, you know, Charming Prince would, which also allows you to exile a creature you own and return it on the end step. And Ephemerate does the same thing, exiling creatures, that's going to pop your Soul Herder. It's all Very nice and wonderful. We've got Elite Spellbinders in here, 3 mana 3/1. Looks at our opponent's hand when it ETBs, and then you get to exile a card from among it, which I think does not trigger Soul Herder. Nope, it does not. And for as long as that card remains exiled, it costs 2 more to cast. We can use the Spellbinder with the Ephemerate to hit our opponent's draw steps as well. So if we put a stop on our opponent's first pip, when our opponent draws a card, we can Ephemerate the Spellbinder, look at their card, and make it immediately extra taxed, which can be nice if we're trying to play around a board wipe. Skyclave Apparitions, our removal of choice. It's not our only removal, but it is our premium removal. 3 mana 2/2, ETBs, exiles a non-land, non-token permanent with mana value 4 or less. When it leaves the battlefield, our opponent gets an illusion equal to the mana value of the card that we exiled. So we can give our opponent illusions if we start flickering this card with Ephemerates and Soul Herders, but oftentimes the illusions aren't that big of a deal, and if they are, we do have some tech to deal with them in the sideboard. And how do we get to the sideboard? We use our other digital-only card here, Grizzled Huntmaster, 3 mana 4/3. When it enters the battlefield, you may exile a creature card from your hand. If you do, search your library and hand for any number of cards with the same name and exile them and shuffle, and then you choose a creature card you own from outside the game and conjure a duplicate of that card into your hand for each card exiled from your hand this way. You can basically thin your deck with Huntmaster. Like if it's late game, you can exile a Llanowar Elves from your hand and get the other Llanowar Elves out of your deck. Other than that, there's not a great reason to exile cards out of your library. I guess also in a control matchup, maybe Clonecrafter just doesn't have an ETB, so maybe you do the same with them. But for each card out of your hand anyway, you get a duplicate card of a card in your sideboard, and keep in mind these cards remain in your sideboard, so Huntmasters can always grab the same target if they need to. We've got Coma, Cosmos Serpent, can't be countered, makes coils, and can gain indestructible, so extremely annoying for control matchups to deal with. You can't sweep this card very easily, so that's an option. We've got Yasharn. Players can't pay life or sacrifice non-land permanents to cast spells or activate abilities. The big one that this hits is Cat Oven, so something to keep in mind. Toski is kind of my flex slot. Draws cards if you deal combat damage, so we do have lots of little dorks here that suddenly become card draw effects with Toski. That's kind of nice. I've never really pulled Toski though, so I think it is kind of... It's probably going to go, but I don't know what to replace it with. So if you guys have any ideas of a silver bullet card in Bant that... Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be in Bant, I suppose, because we've got Ziggurats, we've got Innkeepers making treasures, got Gildegoose, but preferably in Bant anyway. If you've got a silver bullet creature in Bant that is useful after turn 3, leave it down in the comment section below. I'd be interested to see what you would replace Toski with. I think it is definitely a cut from my experience with it so far. But either way, moving on. Night of Autumn, Artifact and Enchantment Destruction, a little bit of life gain in there as well. Deputy Detention, as we mentioned, we can make a lot of illusions for our opponents by flickering apparitions. Deputy Detentions sweeps all non-land permanents with the same name, and that allows us to basically destroy all tokens, which can be definitely quite useful. And then Guardian of Faith is a board wipe protector, allows us to phase out any number of creatures we control, and it has flash as well. So if our opponent goes Wrath of God, we flash in Guardian of Faith, they get to kill Guardian of Faith, we get to keep our entire board state. The final card we're going to talk about is Clonecrafter. It's 2 mana 1/2. It's basically a Fibblethip. When it enters the battlefield, you conjure a duplicate of a random creature in your opponent's library, and then you can cast it using mana of any color. So this is situationally good. There's a few matchups where it probably won't hit anything at all. So in those matchups, maybe Fibblethip is better. We're going to go with the 4 Clonecrafter today, and just see whether or not our opponent's creatures... a guaranteed opponent's creature is better than just a random draw from our deck with a Fibblethip, because Fibblethip can hit lands. Clonecrafter is always going to get as a creature in a matchup where it's relevant, of course. So it's hard to say. Clonecrafter has been pretty good for us, though, and you should also note that the copies of cards can also be flickered as well. So if we steal an opponent's Skyclave Apparition from their deck, then we can still like Soul Herder it and Ephemerate it, and I think it stays under our control. So we'll have to find out if that ever comes up. But yeah, that's essentially the deck. Hopefully you guys enjoy. If you do, hit that like button and subscribe for more content like this in the future. And without further ado, enjoy the games. This video is brought to you by the generous support of our wonderful patrons and channel members that you see here. If you'd like to support the channel and get access to cool content like sneak peeks, bonus videos, polls on future content, or access to a personal deck critique from myself every month, then hit the join button down below, or check out the Patreon link in the description. With all that said, let's get into the gameplay. Okay, on the draw, 4-lander, 3 relatively good cards if we can get to them and keep them alive. And it looks like it'll be a good matchup for us as well. So let's just start with the Temple Garden here. And a green-white Enchantress deck. Okay. Well, Skyclave Apparition's going to be very good here. We can take care of 9 lives. We can take care of, like, Sithuses and things like that. Clone Crafter. How many creatures will this hit? It'll hit Sithis, and it might hit the 2-mana 2/3. Nice. So we're going to really take our time now. Our opponent just gave us permission. Yeah, I don't think Clone Crafter's particularly good in this matchup, so probably want to save it for like Grizzled Huntmaster to discard and get Knight of Autumn and Deputy of Detention. Cards like that. Oh, I guess it also hits Sanctum Weaver, that's true. Alright, well, what I know from this deck is that it will not appreciate me attacking that Sithis. Could have gone with the Innkeeper as well, actually, and then used my treasures. Not sure if that works out to be particularly impressive as a line of play, but should have maybe at least considered it. Johnny's welcome, and there's Destiny Spinner. Alright. So what we're going to do now is start looping Soul Herder and flickering the Apparition with it. I think that's the plan. This time we will go Innkeeper, Soul Herder. And Apparition can hit Sanctum Weaver, I guess. Don't imagine Destiny Spinner's going to do much here anyway. But the mana might help our opponent empty their hand, and I really want our opponent in a position where I'm dealing with their permanents in a one-to-one fashion. There's Legion's Landing. Sterling Grove. Okay, well, I'm going to have to Apparition that real quick. Ooh, Spellbinder. Other enchantments have Shroud, so they don't have Shroud. So let's have a look at your secrets. Show me what you're working with. Another Sterling Grove, Divine Visitation. Okay, well, I don't particularly care about the other Sterling Grove because I'm going to take care of the first, so I just have to take care of the second. Our opponent's really upset with people taking any amount of time to make a decision. Let's just get rid of Divine Visitation, and then play Clone Crafter, because I might get this Archon now. It was your go, but the game won't let me your go you. Oh, that's felt very good. Very good indeed. Imagine just like being so impatient that you lose the game. Either way, on to the next game. Alrighty, we're in, and this hand is perfectly functional, so we're going to keep it. Going to lead with one of the tap lands, which I guess it's going to be Cascade. I think 9 times out of 10 I'm going to go with the Innkeeper, but I want to leave my options open for Clone Crafter. So a 1/1, you see, maybe I want to go with Clone Crafter here. I might get myself a Dragon's Rage Channeler myself. It gives me a little bit more information. And I get to block, which is the important part. Seasoned Pyromancer, that is a pretty good flicker target for Soul Herder. Although I will say Soul Herder doesn't look like it's going to live very long in this matchup. I'm sure there's a lot of shocks and nonsense in here. So taking one from the Sprite Dragon. Spellbinder was a pretty good one. Do I have a silver bullet for this deck? Not really. I don't imagine Spellbinder's really going to take anything that keeps it alive. I'm sure they've got like 2 shocks in there if they really wanted to. But let's have a look. Keeping the Sprite Dragon back, if I can help it, will be very nice. Oh, they actually just don't have any of the good stuff. That's interesting. So it probably is a Phoenix deck, judging by the Finale of Promise. I'm just going to hit that Faithless Looting, I guess. Make it cost 6 mana total. Doesn't appear like our opponent can pump the Sprite Dragon in a way that allows them to attack, which is basically the intended purpose of last turn's line of play. So land into the graveyard. And then they do iteration stuff. Hand, bottom, exile. Yep, there's another land. And now they can consider it's still 3/3, so it's still useless. But any spell after this allows the Sprite Dragon to start attacking. So a land there would have been lovely. I could Soul Herder now in order to Spellbinder and see what these cards are, and also kind of make this uncastable, as I know it will work. So if these 2 cards are lands, then I'm not wasting my time there. I think that's the plan. I can get him for 3, because honestly, the dream would be that they trade here. I don't think I would ever block in this situation. But I will give them the option to do so, and it's 3 points of damage for free for me anyway. Yeah, alright. And then, assuming that their hand is terrible, I'm probably only taking maybe 4. Dragon's Rage Channeler and a Consider. Let's make... That's a tough one. So they can shock in and play a spell off of double Dragon's Rage Channeler anyway. Take the Consider, they can still play Dragon's Rage Channeler plus one of the 3 drops. I guess they've got Finale X2 available, so I don't really want them having that. That's a lot of value. I want to keep the Sprite Dragon as small as possible, because I'm waiting for my Skyclave Apparition to deal with it, and until then, I really can't have it just like beating me down like crazy. So land so I can hit Captain is okay. Just straight up Skyclave Apparition is also okay. It's hard to say, are we at... I think we're at blocking stages now. Because they topped here. Is that a shock you've just drawn? No, it's another Opt. Well, if these get to flip over, I think they're looking for Phoenixes. They got Creature. Alright, yeah, we're definitely at blocking stages, but now we're actually blocking Dragon's Rage Channeler because it's forced to attack. And I think I would take that opportunity when it's presented to me. Last pool Mimic. So I could do Innkeeper, Charming Prince Scry. And then Soul Herder can flicker Innkeeper to get me the treasure back so I have the 4 mana, maybe? Do I want the Scry, or do I want the gain life? I'm at 13, I'm taking at least 9. Would I die? I'm going to take my chances. I don't think I would die. Let's Scry. Yeah, you see, I don't want any of them. I'm making a treasure with the Innkeeper. Oh no, well, I can do it with the Glasspool Mimic, so that actually allows me to flick a Charming Prince instead. And then Charming Prince can scry a little bit more, since we're searching very specifically for Skyclave Apparition here. Inquisitor Captain doesn't hurt our scries, by the way. It pulls a card from random from our library to our hand, but it doesn't say anything about shuffling, so the contents of my deck remain exactly the same. There is a chance that at random means it'll take this Glasspool Mimic, though. Oh, that's probably us dead. Yeah, I mean, we kind of whiffed. Didn't really find our removal spells at any time. Had plenty of opportunities to do so. And now we're just taking lethal, so yeah, let's go on to the next game. Okay, we have awkward mana hand, but I think it's a functional hand of sorts nonetheless. I'm gonna go Florahedron tapped. We just can't play Clonecrafter next turn. Ugh. Well, at least we can play Gilded Goose. That's the thing. Naga Rogue. So is this mono blue tempo? That would kind of suck. I would hate that. Curious Obsession. Well, they can't spell pierce me here, so let's see what they can do with this Skyclave Apparition, which is going to absolutely wreck their day and make them probably concede very quickly. I'm just going to pass with Ephemerate open, so I can hit their next interesting creature if they had one, which looks like they didn't. Ah, mono blue tempo. Always without a backup plan. Alright, they can flash 2/2s in, so I'm not attacking with the Apparition. They're also on hard counter mode. So really I'm just interested in playing things that allow me to still react. So let's go with Clonecrafter. Get more information on our opponent's deck. A Slitherblade. I'll play that. Shocking In is a bit of a giveaway that I have something I can play here. But I'd rather do that than invalidate the Goose. When I almost entirely probably have to Brazen Borrower. Yeah, I'm just gonna get that out of the way. Our opponent's probably wanting to, yeah. They probably want to stick another Obsession on it. Let's just get the creature off the battlefield. They can have a 1/1, but I can block that 1/1. So, you know, Obsession just drops off if they don't attack with it. And, yeah, pretty sweet. On to the next one. Alrighty, it's a Yorion Mirror, and this hand functions. It doesn't have white for Ephemerate, but that's okay. We're on the draw as well. Can always draw white for Ephemerate, although with this hand I would rather not. Thanks. Thanks, game. Appreciate you. Okay. Maybe I should have led with Temple Garden, actually. I don't think it'll matter too much. Okay, this is a thing that's happening in the game of Magic the Gathering. That is a lot of different coloured mana and Sanctum Weaver. Inquisitor Captain next turn, or Grizzled Huntmaster. I'm going up against a lot of enchantment decks today. Maybe Huntmaster should have an enchantment hater in the sideboard. More than just a 1-for-1 Night of Autumn kind of enchantment hater. So now they've done their Utopia thing. They've got 3 mana to play with. Yeah, I mean, I think Huntmaster's gonna go get me Night of Autumn. That seems like a thing that I would definitely want here. Get rid of one of these Charming Princes. So goodbye Charming Prince. I could get rid of the other Charming Prince or the one from my library, because I think we conjure another Knight of Autumn by doing this, right? This is the confusing card that nobody understands. You may exile a creature card from your hand. If you do, search your library for any number of cards with the same name. Exile them. Choose a creature card you own from outside the game. Conjure a duplicate of that card into your hand for each card exiled from your hand this way. Yeah, so there's really no reason to do it from your library. So I'll take the other one from my... Well, I've got Ephemerate. I think I'll actually just keep one. Let's take a Knight of Autumn. The confusion continues. Alright. So, they've got a lot of mana to play with here. Can they do anything with that mana that I can't then ephemerate my Huntmaster to find an answer to? Deputy of Detentions, and get another Knight of Autumn. Enigmatic Incarnation. Okay, that turns a enchantment into a creature, so they can turn a 2-drop into a 3-drop creature. Which is still a thing that could get Skyclave Apparition, so not out of the woods for our opponent yet. I think I'm saving Grizzled Huntmaster here. Am I saving Grizzled Huntmaster? If I do that, I don't get extra Knight of Autumn triggers, which is kind of important to me. Yeah, I don't think I am, actually. It's just a creature to me. Alright. Glasspool Mimic, that was a good one. So, Knight of Autumn. ETBs destroys this incarnation while it still can. And let's keep my treasure around. Let's pay the 2 life, get back to our starting life total. Pass the turn. We've got Ephemerate in response to our opponent removing something. Which maybe I should go after the Sanctum Weaver, but looks like free value here. So I save my Knight of Autumn, killing the Sanctum Weaver, forcing our opponent to use the mana right now. They've got Ephemerate! Oh my god, what on earth is going on? This game is so strange. Okay. I don't understand a damn thing that's going on anymore. Alright, well, I guess we're gonna go Inquisitor Captain. Inquisitor Captain gains me a life, does a thing. Our thing is gonna be Huntmaster to go get Knight of Autumn. Rid of this Glasspool Mimic. No reason to take these out of my deck. Get me a Knight of Autumn. Play the land. Play the Charming Prince. Charming Prince. Flicker the Captain. And pass the turn. Captain comes back. Gets me a Captain. Captain gets me a Captain, but on their next turn. Alright, we get a little bit of board wipe protection, so there's that. Alright, Ephemerate can do an apparition thing. They can give me a 3/3. Looks like they're going to go ahead and do it. Yep, sure. So I get a 3/3, they take care of Huntmaster. Huntmaster's done his job. Huntmaster is just a Knight of Autumn. And that Knight of Autumn is safe and sound in my hand. Incarnation can turn a 2/2 into a 3/3. Or a 2 mana card into a 3 mana card. So I guess they could get another apparition. They got 4 mana to play with. It's going to be just another Utopia redraw. The Sanctum Weaver is definitely annoying. I think it's kind of on my target after the incarnation for being removed. Innkeeper or Goose? I'm going to go Innkeeper here. Not the best hit in the world. I guess a bit of life gain might not be terrible. So they get Deputy of Detention. Okay. So if I could ever kill that, that would be grand. We're going to go Yorion. I think we're paying 2. Keep that treasure around. Might be useful. And, yeah, destroy the incarnation. It's definitely part of their game plan, so getting rid of it is important to me. This is a 3-3 that gains a 3-3 if they block. And I'm okay with these attacking as well. Got to get the pressure on to kill our opponent eventually, so they get 1 free block and then they take 5. Would they be a deck that runs board wipes? It's hard to say. I mean, if they can't really get ahead on the board, then it would be important that they have a sweeper, even though it would kind of kill their stuff. Omen, no! Alright. Goodbye, Knight of Autumn. You are fun and very useful for a time. Your time has run out. Spellbinder. Spellbinder does not let me Yorion. Yorion does quite a fair bit here, honestly. But they also get to... Well, they get to Yorion regardless, so... I'm just going to Yorion. Flicker, 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 flicker. Get him for 3 here. I think it's still valuable. Bring them all back and do a thing. 1 Charming Prince is going to exile Yorion, because I don't care about the flyers. And then I think I'm scrying. Yeah, let's do a bit of scrying. Yeah, that's a good scry. Didn't want to see any of those cards. Alright, well, they can at least... Well, they can get rid of all of my Charming Princes, really, so... Maybe I took... the scry... And I should have taken... the Flicker, because then the Charming Prince would come back on the end step alongside my Yorion. There is value in that. How much value? Hard to say. So they do have a line where they can apparition away my entire board, and then they could deputy all of my illusion tokens, but they would give me an Inquisitor Captain by doing that, as well as a Glasspool Mimic, which would help me enact that game plan I was just speaking of flickering Charming Prince to safety. So yeah, they're not going to go for the deputy. They're going to give me some tokens, though. Which I don't really think they can afford to be doing, if we're being honest. Alright, Yorion comes back in. Flicker, flicker, flicker. Save all the stuff that could die to that Omen of the Forge and the Skyclave Apparitions. So honestly, they've kind of lost a little bit too much value, I would say. All of these just whiffed because I had a Yorion in exile. Okay, they've got a lot of cards. That is for true. Let's have a look at those cards, shall we? Golos. Thragdaddy. Let's get rid of Golos, since it has activations. What value do I have with Llanowar Elves? I think it's better as a Grizzled Huntmaster. Bring back the team. The team exiles the Yorion. Oh, I love flicker decks. They are ever so fun. Should be noted, I'm not really stopping Golos from coming down. Oh dear, that's a showdown. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna need a big card pretty soon. That Omen of the Forge is not very nice at all. Do they stop my Flicker? They do. Okay, but they don't stop my Spellbinder. Another showdown. This game is wild. Our opponent is closer to decking themselves, I think. Yes, my 61 to their 43. They have gone so much further through their deck. But my life total looks so much better than theirs, so... it's hard to say who's really benefiting the most from this. Alright, definitely want to flicker these three gentlemen. Clone Crafter, that could definitely be good for me. Wandering Mind, that could also hit something here. Oh, look at that, beautiful. Collected Company. Collected Company will hit me. Grizzled Huntmaster for getting rid of the Llanowar Elves. And Skyclave Apparition as well. Skyclave Apparition's going to get rid of Deputy. And I will get myself a... I'm thinking... Skyclave Apparition getting rid of the Sanctum Weaver. So that their only mana is this, and they've got lots to play next turn, but now they don't. Inquisitor Captain gets me Glasspool Mimic, which just gets me an Inquisitor Captain. And I get a Huntmaster, which isn't going to do anything, but it's a 4-3, so... Llanowar Elves, gone. I could get rid of these Llanowar Elves as well. I guess this is where the value is. Like, Llanowar Elves is just a dead card, so now it's gone. I think I'm getting Knight of Autumn again. Right? I could get Deputy, which gets Apparition, but that's extremely risky. Coma's kind of okay, but not great. I could get the Guardian if I thought they had a Sweeper in their deck, but I don't. Yeah, I guess I'm just grabbing Knight of Autumn. We will not be exiling. And we will be attacking with everything. So they can either have a free block and kill on an illusion, or they can just block 4 points of damage. I'm going to take the free kill on a 3-3. Fair. What have I got coming back? I've got Hand Disruption and 2 Innkeepers. So let's see if one of those unknown cards is a Sweeper. God, I love this deck so much. They do not have a Sweeper, but I will take the Showdown, which gives them a best chance of finding one. Alright, we're at 51. I don't think any of these +1/+1 counter times are going to really help our opponent. It would be kind of brutal if they did find a Sweeper, though. Not gonna lie. Since we don't have the Yorion currently in exile. Sanctum Weaver, draw a card, get some counters. I'm at 51, so the counters are mostly irrelevant. There's an Alpha Strike in my opponent's future, so they've got to fill this board and gain enough life. And I can get rid of one blocker with the Knight of Autumn here as well. The counter on the Sanctum Weaver is pretty useless for that reason, because I think that's exactly where I'm putting my Knight of Autumn every time. Could be Sithis as well, I suppose. Alright. Are they discarding to hand size? They are, they've got 10 cards in their hand. It's hard to tell with this hand. Yeah, so I think if I just Knight of Autumn killed the Sanctum Weaver or the Sithis... Again, I don't know if it really matters. I'm going to get rid of the Sanctum Weaver. And then if I just swing with everything, I'm pretty sure I've got lethal. That's for my opponent to figure out. But I got a lot of 3/3s here, so... It's 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 14, 18. Yeah. Cool. -10. What a game. Yeah, our opponent's deck definitely a spicy one. It's one of the reasons why I am glad today that I chose to play queue over the ranked queue, because you would never see this in ranked at all. That Ephemerate. That, honestly, that just made me think anything is possible. Because I had a gotcha moment, and our opponent gotched me in my gotcha moment. So, yeah, pretty sweet deck from our opponent. Pretty sweet deck from us, I would say. And I think that'll do it for today's video. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed. If you have, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. I would definitely recommend playing this deck. I don't know if I would dare play it in ranked. But that is for you guys to figure out if you do want to craft this deck. It's not the cheapest deck in the world, especially with all of the alchemy rares that are in it. But if you have a historic collection, I should imagine you do have a fair amount of these. But yeah, basically the entire deck is a rare. It's a rare pile, so it's a little bit out of budget for anyone who's not a whale like myself. But if you do have the cards, check it out. Other than that, though, guys, take care and peace.